Hi, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is He's Redeeming Love, chapter 69, and this is called A New Church Called Streetlevel. As I was spending time witnessing on the streets and doing outreaches on the streets, I used to have opportunities to share my faith, and I used to open the Bible and teach the Christians that were around doing the outreach and handing out tracts and trying to influence people in the path of Christ and the message of Jesus Christ. I used to preach to the Christians, and if someone stopped to listen to me preaching, I'd convert my preaching and the passage that I was sharing into an evangelistic message, and whilst they were listening, I'd preach to them and share the message of faith with the people who were standing around listening, assuming that they weren't Christians. And when they left, if they left, then I'd continue preaching a message towards the Christians. And the person who was the leader of the outreach used to like my preaching. He didn't realize that I was bringing a message to his Christian followers that were being part of the outreach. Around this time, Yanni, my friend that visited me in the psych ward, he started to disappear on a Friday night and only turn up about 9:30 at night. And eventually he started to ask me to come to this other church that he went to on a Friday night. This was my first opportunity to be preaching, and I was preaching every week on the streets, normally once or sometimes twice on a Friday night, and I was very hesitant to leave my opportunity to preach to go to some new church. I've seen churches before and I wasn't too impressed with churches, and so I was out doing God's will and what I perceived to be God's will in my life, and I wasn't very open to seeing a new church. Yanni took about 6 months of talking to me every week, saying you'll achieve more in one talk at this new church where they let you get up and share how your week's been than you'll achieve in 6 months down here. And I was impressed with what he had to say, and so eventually one Friday he took me to this new church, and I visited it straight away. When I got in there, it was a church like Newtown Missions, full of people who were like Newtown Missions clients that they fed in their drop-in centre. It was full of people that didn't look like church people, didn't look like dressed and well manicured and well dressed church people. These people looked like half of them were down and out and desperate and in a desperate situation, and they were my sort of people. The church opened with songs in worship, and then they opened the floor to the congregation with what they called and explained care and share. And essentially care and share was a time where anyone in the audience could get up and share what God had been doing in their life, or what had been happening in their life in the past week or two, and just share a story with the audience. It was really open format, and unless you swore or said something really unkind or not very nice, they used to let you speak on for at least 5 minutes and not take the microphone from you. If you got offensive or swore or continued to swear when you were warned, they used to take the microphone off you. But it was a very open church, and it really had an open format when it came to sharing. I got up on my first night and I shared something, and I was impressed that people listened to me, and they had a habit of clapping when you got up to share and clapping when you'd finished sharing what you had to share, and I found it very encouraging. And I found that from that day on that I didn't go to the outreach until after the church service at Streetlevel. Streetlevel Salvation Army is run by the Salvation Army and is part of the Salvation Army group of churches in Sydney, Australia. But it's also a different church for the Salvation Army. Salvation Army started with a leader who wanted to reach the drunks and the outcasts of the City of London, and wanted to take the gospel to the streets and clean up the streets of the broken-hearted. And his original mission was to the broken-hearted people of the world, but they seem to have drifted to more the middle-class sort of person these days, and their normal churches, besides Streetlevel, are filled with people who have got a form of religion but not really interested in the outreach of the broken-hearted and all sorts of broken people. At Streetlevel we have homosexuals, we have drunks, we have street kids, we have homeless people, we have transsexuals, we have lesbians, we have gays, we have all sorts of people. If you can imagine it, we've got it at Streetlevel. We've got people at Streetlevel that have got normal jobs, and we've got normal people, and they really love the atmosphere, and they really love coming to a church where they can be open and share what's on their heart, and mix with people who are open about their life and transparent like I am with what they're going through with their life. Not all the so-called normal people get up and share each week. It seems to be most of the broken-hearted that get up and have a voice each week. The original pastors who started the church are called Robin with a double B-I-N, Moulds, M-O-U-L-D-S, Robin Moulds and Paul Moulds, and they started Care and Share with the understanding that every person needs to have a voice and needs to know that they are heard, and every person needs to be able to express themselves and know that they're loved. And so they started Care and Share with that intention that the most broken of the individuals that visit Streetlevel can get up and have a voice each week and have something to share and get something off their heart. And I find it so encouraging, and other people find it so encouraging to listen to the stories and the things that people say each week. Often the sermon is the second most popular thing of the whole night, besides praise and worship. Sometimes the sermon has been already preached in the messages that people have shared in Care and Share as they shared their heart with the people of the church. So it's a very welcoming church. It's a church that's very open. It's a church full of transparent people, and it's an eclectic mix of all sorts of people. It's the sort of church that Jesus likes to hang out in, and I found his presence was very strong at Streetlevel the first time I visited, and I soon became a regular visitor of Streetlevel on a Friday night. God bless.